I have 1,800 tomato seedlings to sell, and today I'm going to talk to you about why that might not be a good idea. We just finished our first day of tomato sales, and I feel that we did really good. We made $335, which is, it's a lot of money. But I know when I said that I was gonna be doing these tomato seedlings, a lot of you were really excited about it, and some of you said that, oh, this is a great idea, what a great way to make some money, and you wanted to do it yourselves. And I advised a little bit of caution, and so now, now that I have some final numbers of what it cost, how long it took, and all that, I want to do a little bit of a breakdown as to why I said don't start 1,800 tomato seedlings. But first, look at my farm! Look how good it's looking! We are starting a market garden to sell at our local farmers market, and this is my 4,000 square foot farm, but my market doesn't start till the first week of June, so it's not there yet, but it's gonna be soon. And this is part of the story. Part of the reason that we decided to try to do this big push of seedling sales this year is that we knew that May would be the month for the seedling sales, and we weren't going to be doing the farmers market yet. So we figured we had a little bit of time. This is also our first year farming, so we don't know how much money we're going to be able to make doing, just the farm. The farmers market that we're going to be selling at is fairly small, and we don't know how good we are at growing, how good we are at marketing and selling and all that. But if we can sell $10,000 worth of farm product, then we can qualify next year for farm status, which gives us a little bit of a tax break, enough that it's worth selling $10,000. So because of that, we figured if we did some seedling sales, that would help bump up our numbers, give us just a little bit more to say that we made in 2019. Last year, we ended up not having a garden because we were in the middle of moving here. And I started up a whole garden's worth of seedlings that I had to get rid of. So I actually did a seedling sale, and it did quite well. Everyone really liked that they weren't in plastic. They liked the plants, and people actually gave me feedback saying that they were really good growing, high quality seedlings. So because of that, I had a little bit of confidence going into doing this. I also had a little bit of an idea of what I was getting into, like work and cost wise too. One of the things we come to realize with starting up the farm for this first year is there is a huge amount of expenses. There's all these little tiny things that you need to buy in quite large volume. And it's stuff that's $2 each, but when you have to buy 100 of them, and there's 100 of these things that you need to buy, the money starts to slowly trickle away quite quickly. Part of how we're planning on farming is that we are going to have some seedlings that get planted out into the farm. Things like our Salanova lettuce, they're all going to be started as plugs and transplanted in, not grown from seed, and there's a bunch of other things, as well as having seedlings ready to go is a really great season extension technique. So I was able to start lots of things when it was just too cold. I'm in my greenhouse right now, and it definitely helps me get things going, but it's not heated. So I needed to have a bit of a seedling growing setup. This is my seedling starting room. This is my little hot room with my lights to be able to get stuff going super early. Doesn't matter how cold out it is, I can make it tropically hot in here. But this video is about why you shouldn't grow seedlings, not how I grew seedlings. And to explain what I mean by that, I need to talk to you about cost of growing my seedlings. These lights cost me $100. These racks, I have 4 of them in total, cost me $100 each, so $400. I have $3,000 worth of seeds in total. These potting mix bags are $35 each, and I bought 12 of them so far, which makes $400 in soil. To make sure there's lots of fertility, I add an organic powdered fertilizer. So I add in a generous amount of this beautiful compost. I spent $500 buying bulk berries. Here's some of them potted up. These trays and their liners I spent $500 on. I bought a bunch of other stuff too, but I'm just basically saying that I'm about $5,000 in with all those supplies. But there's also a lot of things that I'm not putting a price to that most definitely made it so I could do these seedlings. I needed this greenhouse, and we even had to build a third greenhouse just to store all of this as well too. Water. This heat here, all the power for that, as well as the lights and just work lights. And most importantly, time. Oh, the time. Seriously, that's what we really need to talk about. The amount of time that I spent on these seedlings is... seriously, the amount of time I spent on these seedlings is crazy. Every day I spent an hour to 2 hours in watering all the seedlings. To move them around, which luckily I didn't do too much of, took forever. Oh, which reminds me, another thing that I bought is I spent $250 on a really nice garden cart. And oh man, did that ever, whew, that was money well spent. Making the paper pots is super fast. I can do 100 an hour, but I potted up 1,800 tomato seedlings, which meant I spent 18 hours making paper pots. And to actually pot them from the plugs into the pots, it took about a half an hour a tray, and every single tray became every single plug tray became 4 paper pot trays. So that means 2 hours, and I had 25 trays of tomatoes. So that was 100 hours spent on that, as well as time that Ian spent in prepping by putting a little bit of soil and flattening down the pots for me. So I've been saying 120 hours is what I think I spent just potting up the tomatoes into the paper pots. But I didn't actually track it. It could be more. I doubt it's less. I also did at least 50 trays of soil blocks, probably more at this point because I've just been making trays here and there, and those don't take too long, but I'm also not super fast at it. So, you know, I probably spent 20 hours making soil blocks, and then some of the things that I seeded, the seeds are just so small and so tiny, and so it really took me a long time to seed them up. You know, it was kind of like 10 minutes per tray, and when I'm talking about having done, you know, over 100 trays, all that adds up too. But mostly, for me personally, I mean, other than the potting those paper pots, oh my god, those are the worst. The time that I find the seedlings really take is just that bits and pieces every day. It's, you know, the 10 minutes that it takes to come down, open up the greenhouse, 10 minutes to shut the greenhouse, the hour to go around and water everything, and you can't go away from it. If you forget to water for a day, they die. Or if you do one of the things that I did, which is you're not being very careful when you're watering and you miss that there's spots that aren't getting the amount of water they need, then the seedlings die. And so then all the time, all the money that you spent getting to that point is just gone. It's the first weekend of May right now, and the first seedlings that I started in the last week of February. So I have been at this for a long time, and now is the go time. Now the seedlings, they get sold, and then whatever's here by the end of the month, you know, end of May, beginning of June, I am going to get rid of. I found someone that I can donate them to, because I really don't think I'm gonna be able to sell them all. If I could make back the $5,000 that I, you know, have said I spent, that would be amazing. I'm selling the tomatoes for $2.50 each, so by that logic, my 1,800 tomatoes would sell for, do some quick math here, $4,500. So even if I sold every single one of my tomatoes, I still wouldn't get back the money that I'd invested in the first place. I have a few thousand other seedlings that I'm trying to sell, and those I'm kind of selling them in the range of like $1 to $2 each. So they're, you know, if I sold all of those, there's a good chance that would probably be, you know, another like $3,500. And then if I sold all of the strawberries that we have potted up, it would be $1,000 in the strawberries. So if I sold absolutely everything that I have, that would make it $9,000 that I would make. And honestly, I don't know that $9,000 would cover my expenses and the labor at minimum wage. We have a really strong, you know, vegetable gardener market around here. I can sell my tomatoes for a good price. I can, you know, people are happy to come and buy the things for the price that I have them listed at, which makes me really lucky, but not everyone has such a strong market. And that is part of the reason why I advise people to use a little bit of caution when going out and, you know, starting 1,000 things to try to sell for themselves. I knew how much money I was going to be spending to do these seedlings, and I knew the time that it was going to take. You know, it was a little bit more time than I anticipated, but it wasn't outside the realm of what I thought I was going to spend on doing seedlings. For me, the reason that we decided to do seedlings this year wasn't to make money. Part of the goal is just to make a little bit of extra sales, like I said, so we can claim it for the tax purposes. But the other part of the goal was to try to cover some of these costs this year that we were going to have to make anyways. I had to buy seedling trays. I had to buy potting soil. I had to buy seeds. I didn't have to buy strawberries, but I wanted to buy strawberries. And so in that $5,000 that I spent, there's a lot of that has value for me in future years. The $3,000 in seed, that includes my farm seed. So if I can cover the cost of my farm seed in doing some seedling sales, you know, especially when I have a bit of time to do it, then that has a lot of value. For me personally, that's one of the things about, you know, the gardening or the farming or all that. It's the fact that there can be value, you know, outside of the obvious just mathematics and economics of what is profitable and what isn't. I never expected seedling sales to be profitable. I still don't think we're gonna sell $5,000 worth of seedlings, even though that'd be amazing. But I get all this stuff to be able to do seedlings in the future, and I also have the ability to give away seedlings. To me, even though that doesn't have a financial value, there's value to be able to do that, to supply my friends and family, and then, you know, at the end to make this like nice big donation of seedlings. And 100%, like, don't tell Ian this, but there's huge value in me being able to justify buying bulk things like those strawberries as seedling sales. So there is other values outside of you know, just justification values. Even though I don't think I'm gonna make any money on doing these seedling sales, I think even so far it's been a success. I've learned tons about growing seedlings because I've never done anything on this scale before. I learned tons about using the paper pots. You know, I got to experiment with stuff I'd never get to experiment with if I didn't have the justification of, you know, I'm going to keep 2 plants for me, and then the rest of the, you know, 20 seeds in the pack are going to go to someone else. This year, I am going to get to grow 46 varieties of tomatoes. That's something I would never be able to do if I hadn't started 46 variety of tomatoes just so I could sell it to people. So, moral of the story, the whole entire point of this video is it might not be profitable to sell tomato seedlings. You might not want to do it yourself if your goal is to make money, but it doesn't mean that there isn't still lots of reasons to do it. And plus, check out all this amazing footage of 1,800 tomatoes, which I will hopefully never have again, but I am gonna take 100,000 pictures of it and remember it for the rest of my life.
Nothing you haven't done before, right?
Every day, just out here watering the tomatoes.